fans. We have people in the media speaking out and speaking up against this. We have a TikToker, her right here. Let me get this pulled up. She's speaking about
happening with Caitlin Clark in the WNBA is absolutely absurd. I actually think we're running into a bigger problem than people realize. If you're not familiar with what's going on. Basically, Caitlin Clark has been getting obliterated on the basketball court. It's very obvious that girls are coming for her. She's getting technical fouls for clapping.
That's not frustration you're seeing. That's full-blown alarm. Because what started as complaints about bad officiating just turned into something way bigger. Fans aren't just mad anymore. They're organizing. They're digging. And what they found about these referees is making the WNBA's front office sweat.
Oh my God. They gotta hate that they did this, because just like I say, the internet, give it and they will damn sure take it away. It said, it's been reported that, as pointed out before, here's the ref from last night that has had it out for Caitlin Clark from college days. WNBA needs to investigate refs Gina Cross and Angelica Suffering. Absolutely horrible.
Two names keep coming up: Gina Cross and Angelica Suffren. According to fans who've been tracking every game Caitlin Clark plays, these two referees have been working her game since college, and the pattern they're seeing isn't subtle. When these two are on the court, the foul disparity gets ugly. In one game alone, Connecticut got 32 free throw attempts, Indiana got 15. That's a 17 attempt difference in a league where games are decided by single possessions. But here's what makes this more than just bad calls. Fans started pulling receipts. They found footage from Clark's college days showing these same referees making questionable no-calls against her. They documented technical fouls given to Clark for clapping while other players scream at refs without consequence. They tracked every game these officials worked and found a consistent pattern of disadvantage.
When this was at the game, when Caitlin Clark was severely injured, I'm going to have to say she was severely injured because it looked very gruesome. Somebody said, come on, guys, these are unpaid puppets and they follow orders. Somebody said, effing not qualified to ref a 5th grade game. Angelica Suffering need to be investigated when refereeing Caitlin Clark.
Now look at what happened after that eye injury. 3 Connecticut players were in Clark's space. Contact was obvious, blood was visible, and somehow no whistle. Fans went back and found video of one of these refs literally looking away at the moment of contact, not reviewing a play, not consulting with another official, just dancing and celebrating while the player who's carrying your league's ratings is bleeding on the court. That's when the boycott started gaining real traction, because this wasn't about one bad call anymore. This was about a pattern of negligence that felt intentional.
We got posts like this. Somebody said, I stopped watching the WNBA 2 weeks ago. My wife stopped watching after last week. We canceled our league pass. There is nothing for me in the W. It may have been Caitlin Clark's childhood dream as a 2nd grader to play in this horrific league, but I was an adult. I'm done watching this hate fest. And they got Kathy on there, bro. This is very, very damaging for the WNBA.
Watch this carefully. This is where the story shifts from sports controversy to actual business crisis. Because fans aren't just complaining on social media, they're cancelling WNBA League Pass subscriptions. They're organizing viewing boycotts. They're calling for investigations. And they're doing it in numbers large enough that the league can't ignore it. One fan flew from Europe to watch Caitlin Clark play. Now he's saying he won't watch the next game. Another family that started watching together because of Clark is turning off the TV. These aren't casual viewers. These are the people who bought jerseys, attended games, and brought new money into a league that desperately needed it.
Let's just take out the WNBA for a second. When a young girl who has a ton of dreams and is just absolutely incredible at something, she shines bright and she lifts up every single person around her, and she's doing the best that she can, not just for women's basketball, but women's sports in general. It's treated the way that she does. That is sending a message to young girls to literally not shine, to not be the face of the league, to not try to literally rise every single boat around you, not fight for higher pay for people when Caitlin Clark's salary is 4th of what the 1st round draft pick and AZ Fudd got this year. Imagine you have a young girl that is potentially going to be a Caitlin Clark, or someone that wants to go out and wants to shine and wants to speak up, and how she's getting treated in the WNBA is just it's absurd. Coach was dead on. It's just absolutely egregious. They need to protect the one person in the league that is making them money.
Here's what makes this particularly damaging. The WNBA just had its best ratings year in 2 decades. Caitlin Clark games were drawing over 3 million viewers. Attendance was up across the league. Merchandise sales were breaking records. The entire economic model of the WNBA was finally working. And now fans are watching the league fail to protect the one player responsible for that growth. They're watching officials who make as little as $400 per game in some cases, officials with no formal training beyond basic certification, officials who apparently carried grudges from college basketball into the professional league. Think about what that signals to young players. You can be generational talent. You can sell more jerseys than everyone except Steph Curry. You can put the league on magazine covers and primetime television. And the league still won't protect you from officials who seem to have personal issues with you.
Angel Reese and Paige Beckers, guys, look at the jersey sale. Look at every single thing that Caitlin Clark does. I could throw a million stats out there. The only person that sells more jerseys than Caitlin Clark is Steph Curry, who's lifting her up like LeBron James and all these guys. Yet the girls on the court are trying to punch her. It's no sense. Make it make sense.
Exactly, bro. This is an ongoing issue, and she's not the only one that feels this way. Listen to this.
Back to the game, or found it for the first time because of Caitlin Clark.
That analysis right there cuts to the core of why this is resonating beyond just basketball fans. Because what's happening to Caitlin Clark is a pattern women recognize from every industry. Work twice as hard, achieve unprecedented success, lift everyone around you, and still get treated worse than people who accomplish a fraction of what you have. The WNBA spent years complaining about lack of attention and revenue. Then a player shows up who generates both, and instead of building the entire league around protecting and promoting her, they let her get physically targeted while refs look the other way. The cognitive dissonance is staggering.
She's out now. Out because of a game that should have protected her, but didn't. Out because warning signs were given and ignored. Out because the foul that should have been called wasn't. And the player who filled these arenas, who put this league on magazine covers and prime time, will instead be sitting in street clothes instead of warming up.
Now we're seeing media figures outside the usual sports commentary world picking up the story. TikTokers with millions of followers are breaking down the officiating discrepancies. Economists are calculating how much money the league stands to lose if Clark's fans actually follow through on the boycott. This stopped being a sports story and became a business case study in how to mismanage your most valuable asset. And Kathy Engelbert, the WNBA commissioner, has been mostly silent, no investigation announced, no acknowledgement of the pattern, no statement about officiating standards, just the standard suspension for Alyssa Thomas and business as usual.
On Kathy and the league to police itself. So here's what we're going to do instead. When the Fever take the court against the Sparks, I'm calling on every one of you, every fan who picked this sport back up because of her, to sit it out with me. Lights out with Caitlin. Empty seats, dark living rooms, broadcast with nobody watching. Not because we don't love this game, but because we do. Love means we are not just background noise when she is the one paying the price. If you flew across the country for a single game like I flew across the ocean, sit this one out anyway. If you've never missed a tip-off, miss this one. If your kid wears her jersey to bed, let her know why the TV is off this time. This isn't about punishing the Sparks, it's about making one thing impossible to ignore. That an entire fan base noticed, an entire fan base acted, together, on the same night, for the same reason. Caitlin, if you are hearing any of this, the weight of the crown is heavy, but you are not carrying it alone. We picked this sport up because of you, and with you we stand. One game, lights out, all of us together. With respect and with hope and with empty seats.
This is the moment that's going to define whether this boycott has teeth, because organizing online is one thing. Actually sitting out a game when you've been watching all season is another, especially when Caitlin Clark is still playing and you know you're going to miss seeing her. But the fan leading this charge isn't some random troll. She flew across an ocean to watch one game. She's invested, and she's asking other invested fans to prove that investment means something by making the league feel consequences for not protecting their star. The game she's targeting is against the Sparks, not a marquee matchup, not a playoff atmosphere, just a regular season game that would normally draw decent numbers because Clark is playing. If that game comes in as one of the lowest viewed of the season, that sends a message the league can't spin away. Here's what makes this situation worse than it needed to be. The WNBA had options. They could have immediately announced an investigation into officiating patterns. They could have released a statement about protecting player safety. They could have suspended the referees pending review. They could have done anything that showed they take this seriously. Instead, they gave Alyssa Thomas a standard suspension and moved on, like this was just another flagrant foul. Like the player who got hit wasn't the reason millions of new fans are watching. Like the pattern of questionable officiating doesn't exist, despite mountains of documented evidence. That response, or lack of response, is what turned frustrated fans into activists. Because it confirmed what they suspected. The league doesn't actually value what Caitlin Clark brings. They'll take her ratings and her merchandise sales, but they won't protect her from officials who appear to have personal bias, and they won't protect her from players who target her physically. Think about the business logic here. Caitlin Clark is worth billions to this league according to economic projections, not millions, billions. Her impact on attendance, viewership, merchandise and sponsorship deals is unprecedented in WNBA history. She's doing for women's basketball what Tiger Woods did for golf, or what Wayne Gretzky did for hockey in non-traditional markets. And the league is treating her like she's replaceable, like there's another generational talent waiting in the wings who can draw 3 million viewers. Like fans who came to the WNBA specifically for her will stick around if she gets injured or frustrated enough to walk away. That's not just bad business, that's organizational incompetence at a level that's hard to comprehend. Because every other major sports league in the world knows you build around your superstars. You protect them, you promote them, you make sure the officiating doesn't become the story instead of their performance. The NBA learnt this with Jordan, the NFL learnt this with Brady. The WNBA should have learnt this watching how those leagues handle their marquee players. Instead, they're acting like it's still 2019 when nobody was watching and every game felt like a scrimmage that happened to be televised. But it's not 2019 anymore. There are millions of people watching now. And those people have options. They can watch the NBA, they can watch college basketball, they can watch literally anything else. The only reason they're watching the WNBA is because of Caitlin Clark and maybe a handful of other compelling players. So when those fans see their reason for watching get targeted, get injured, and get no protection from the league, they're going to make a rational decision. They're going to stop watching. And once they stop, getting them back is nearly impossible. The WNBA has spent 2 decades begging for mainstream attention. Now they have it, and they're about to learn the hard way that attention can disappear just as quickly as it arrived. Because fans who feel disrespected don't come back. They move on, and they tell everyone they know why they left. This boycott might work, or it might not. But the fact that it exists at all, the fact that fans are organized and angry enough to sit out a game featuring the player they came to watch, that should terrify the WNBA's leadership. Because that's not normal fan behavior, that's fans who feel betrayed. And betrayed fans don't just stop watching, they become active opponents who warn others away. So here's the question the league needs to answer. Was protecting 2 referees with questionable track records worth losing the goodwill of millions of new fans? Was maintaining the status quo of mediocre officiating worth risking the biggest growth opportunity in league history? Was avoiding controversy worth confirming every criticism about how the WNBA treats its stars? Because right now, it looks like the WNBA chose wrong. They chose institutional inertia over adaptation. They chose protecting officials over protecting their investment. They chose short-term conflict avoidance over long-term sustainability. And if this boycott gains momentum, if ratings actually drop, if sponsors start asking questions, the league is going to have to answer for those choices. The irony is brutal. The WNBA finally got what it always wanted. Mainstream attention, serious money, cultural relevance. And they're fumbling it because they can't let go of the small league mentality that got them nowhere for 20 years. Caitlin Clark didn't ask to be the savior of women's professional basketball. She just wanted to play. But the league made her that whether she wanted it or not, by completely failing to build sustainable interest before she arrived. And now that she's here, carrying the weight of an entire league's viability, they won't even protect her from officials who seem to have personal grudges. That's not a controversy. That's an organizational failure. And if the WNBA doesn't figure that out soon, they're going to look back at 2024 as the year they had everything and lost it because they couldn't get out of their own way. What do you think happens if this boycott actually works? Drop your prediction in the comments.